Hi, welcome to Fireside Snack. Let's grab a snack and sit down to chat. We're Abby and Gabby, two recovery coaches eager to share our lived and professional experience in the world of mental health and eating disorders. In our time together, we hope to grab a bite to eat and connect with ourselves and each other. Our hope with this podcast is to inspire you to take care of yourself by building a life you don't want to run away from. As a disclaimer, the information shared in this podcast is based on the personal experiences of Abby and Gabby and is intended for informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you are seeking support or have concerns about your mental health, please consult with a licensed professional. Enjoy your fireside snack. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Fireside Snack. This is our recovery-focused podcast where Abby and I talk about our lived experience with eating disorders and our experience working in the field. Today, we have a very, very special guest on our podcast today. Her name is Emma Tassey. Emma and I met as former colleagues when we were both recovery coaches, and we've become really close friends. Emma is a wonderful friend of the podcast who has lived experience with autism spectrum disorder and eating disorders as well. We're really looking forward to diving into her experience, as Abby and I can't speak to it specifically from our own lived experience, so we're really excited to have somebody on the pod to share.
Yes, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
And part of Fireside Snack, which is why we're named this, is that we tend to have snack at the start of the podcast and check in about what we're having. So, Abby, what are you having for snack today?
I'm realizing a pattern with myself in cheese sticks. I'm having a cheese stick and then iced coffee with milk and sugar. I'm not usually an iced coffee person, but today it just felt right. So there we go.
And I think Abby is having iced coffee because there's a tornado in Abby's area, and Abby needs to be alert and ready at any time that this happens.
Adrenaline, caffeine, does my body know the difference? Who knows?
Who knows? Emma, what are you having for snack today?
Yeah, today I am having solely mango bites. I am like obsessed. I love dried mango, but these are like even better because they're all like the same uniform shape and texture. And just let me show you like the individual pieces because
I'm ready. Yeah.
I'm here for
Do a
this.
show and tell.
Yeah. See, they're like little mango bites.
Wow.
It's just like dried mango. That's all it is. I love.
This feels wild to me because I almost brought to the podcast dried mango, but it's in strips. So that would have been really cool and exciting. I didn't do that because I was like, I don't know, I want popcorn. So I brought popcorn.
Ooh, love, yum.
Emma, are you having a beverage? Do you have like a schwanky little drink?
I just had my water today. I haven't drank a whole lot of water. I had a coffee and a tea earlier, and I was like, I need to hydrate with real water.
Absolutely. I have a little Trader Joe's sparkling apple cider, lemon and strawberry deliciousness. So that's what I'm going to be getting into on the podcast today.
Beautiful.
Emma, this is our first time meeting. Similar last time we had a guest was my mom, right? Emma, we're super excited to have you. A little bit of a different setup. But I think it'd be helpful to get to know you a little bit, both myself and viewers. What is your background with eating disorders? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So I kind of have a varied background. I definitely have my own experience with an eating disorder throughout my life, and I still deal with currently. And then I have also worked with individuals one-on-one who deal with eating disorders, especially in the past when I was working more one-on-one with recovery and coaching. I did quite a bit of that. And I'm kind of diving into that more now. I'm getting certified to be an elemental life coach and work even more closer with women one-on-one. Yeah, and like kind of more of like an intuitive approach to really getting grounded and regulated in our bodies and paying attention to what our bodies are telling us so we know what foods we really do want to eat and we're not just eating what Joe told us to eat, like what do our bodies really crave and want? So yeah, that's kind of what my experience is right now.
I feel like that can be so helpful too because of different things like hormonal imbalances and things of that nature, like really getting fine-tuned and listening to your body, I think is so cool and exciting. Emma, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about how you and I know each other and where we come from and your background with recovery coaching.
Yeah. So I met Gabby first when we were both working peer recovery coaches, and we would work one-on-one with individuals, supporting them. At the time, it was pandemic time, so we did all of our work remote. And so it was
Yeah.
a bunch of calling clients either over a phone call or a Zoom call, or even just text. Some of my clients just wanted to do texting, which was totally fine. And I would just work with them one-on-one doing that, kind of like what me and Gabby both did, that working with clients with various mental health conditions or substance use conditions or eating conditions. Yeah, that's how we got to know each other, and we would have like team meetings each week. And even though we never worked in person with each other, we had a deep relationship over the internet.
Yeah, it was really fun to develop a friendship with Emma because this summer Emma came out to a concert where I live, and I got to meet Emma in person for the first time. And it was so wild. And even now, we're going to a concert together this summer because we just had such a good time together. But it was wild to feel like
Yes.
so much of our background is sharing and talking about our lived experience and being those storytellers. And we see a lot of each other reflected in one another. And so it was so wild to feel like I know this person so, so deeply. And I've never met them in person.
Yes, like knowing someone on a soul level, but not knowing like their actual earth body. Wild.
It was very wild. And it feels similar to some of the work that me and Abby did. So again, building those super solid relationships and never meeting in person is wild.
That's so cool.
This makes me excited. So there's already connections. I'm envisioning like webs because we're all over the country,
Yeah.
like just connecting conversation. We get to share space today. I'm so excited about that. So one of the things Gabby had mentioned in your initial bio is your experience with both eating disorders and ASD. I didn't know if there's anything that you wanted to speak to around that.
Yeah, I feel like what comes up for me most around autism and my eating disorder is not really feeling connected to my body. And so right now I am, with my recent diagnosis of autism, I am doing a lot of work of connecting my mind and my body and integrating that, because I'm realizing now as a 32-year-old that I have not been connected in my body at all. And if you would have asked me like a year ago, where is Emma? I would have told you I'm here, and I'm here like in my heart and my head. But my body was not really connected. And so, in regards to eating, that can make it really tricky for me to know when to eat, how much to eat, even what to eat. I just don't feel those hunger cues. I don't even really feel an appetite. And then it's kind of like a fight, flight, freeze instance. And I'll just eat anything that's around me to fuel and nourish, to calm that down. But it's definitely been a journey of learning to tune into my body and like, what am I wanting to eat? And I do need to eat, and what are the cues? And so that's something I'm really working on right now, is getting more regulated in my body so I can really pick up on those cues like earlier on of, oh, I am hungry. Or like something I'm working with I have a coach I work one-on-one with right now. I have a mentor, and she's helping me with this because I'm needing some guidance of how to kind of get more in tune in my body, because right now my appetite is not telling me, like my cues are not there, and I'm wanting more steps first. And so she was like, I want you to just start cooking lunch every day at a certain time. Like let's say at noon, every day you're going to go cook lunch. So you're starting to prime your body that you cook every day at noon. And then you also take like a bite of a mango, or you take a swig of juice, so your body says, we're about to eat, and it kind of kicks your appetite and your metabolism. It's like, oh, is this helpful, like baby steps to help my body get primed to eat again and to have an appetite, because right now I'm not even feeling it. And it's made me neglect myself in some ways and not fully nourish myself because I don't even feel the cues to nourish myself. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on right now in my journey with it so far, because it's been interesting, like being so disconnected from my body for so long and not feeling connected to my food. And now that I'm learning in the last like year and a half and this year, really learning how to be regulated in my body, the eating has become more and more natural. And I'm getting more interested in trying different foods and nourishing myself and really taking ownership of it, and not just kind of playing victim to the cards that have been given to me,
I absolutely agree. And I think that makes sense because I can imagine it being so scary to not have the benchmarkers there of not even noticing that you're approaching hunger until the red light is flashing and it's in your face. And now we're already at like a code level red meltdown zone, at least for me. Abby and I talked last episode about you're not you when you're hungry. And I think that probably is encapsulated fully by your experience.
Yes, it's like that Snickers commercial, you know, like before they get the Snickers bar, you're seeing, and they're like they turn into a bear and they're running through the forest, and then they finally get the Snickers bar and they take a bite and they're like they're human again. And I'm like, that's exactly how I feel, because it just becomes like that red moment, you know, like that meltdown moment. And I was like, I'll take anything, and it's not even like nourishing food per se. It's not even food maybe that I even want. It's just easy and quick. So right now I'm really working on refining that skill. So I'm really getting the nourishing food my body wants and needs, and not just bypassing by saying, shut up, body. No, body, we want to hear you. I'm here for you.
This is a topic I get so excited about that I don't think is brought up enough. Like the concept of embodiment, the Western notion that like, where am I? I'm in my head. Like, okay, there's some heart. Maybe I have like the concept of I have a gut, but like I am my fingertips. Like I am my knees. It's this concept of being in my body. Like I am my body. I can be one with the six, and it changes the perception of everything. So like as you're talking, I'm getting so excited because you're just describing the process of embodiment and rebuilding those connections, and it's so powerful. My energy's up. I'm excited. It's not the coffee, it's the conversation.
I love that too, Abby, because it's so true. And I feel like it's such a big piece that gets missed in eating disorder treatment, because it's some of the like final layers on top of everything. Like now that we're not in a super hard deficit now, how can we build the foundation upon being present in our bodies? I'm curious, Emma, because I know a little bit about you and I know a little bit about your history, I was looking up some stats, and I saw from a Psychology Today article that between 20 and 30% of people with eating disorders also have autism or display signs of the condition. I'm curious how you learned about your ASD diagnosis, because I know it came later on in adulthood.
Yes. I just recently got my diagnosis in this most recent December, so just a couple months ago. And it was definitely a journey to get that diagnosis. Up until then, I had struggled with my mental health for most of my life. And I had tried to get help throughout the years and went to see different psychiatrists and psychologists, therapists, etc. And I had been diagnosed originally with borderline, and then years later with bipolar and PTSD and OCD, a whole handful of things. And then I was thrown onto a cocktail of controlled substances to help deal with my mental health. But ultimately, it was kind of like a Band-Aid, I would say. It definitely helped me get over the hump of how chronic it was for me and how intense it was. I was not functioning day to day. And so the medicine really helped me regulate enough to keep going each day and not to have that intensity of wanting to escape. But ultimately, it really made me very disconnected from my body. This isn't right, what's going on in my body, and I still feel really sad. So it was just even more work of finding my true root of who Emma is. And so I really had to take ownership of my mental health, and I no longer was willing just to go through the day-to-day of being depressed and miserable. And so I sought ketamine treatment, and ketamine treatment really opened my doorways to everything and my next steps in life. It helped me get off all the medication. I have not been on medication since then, which has been a huge journey for me to really just find out who I am and my own feelings. And like what you guys were talking about, like Abigail, like getting into your body and that embodiment piece of really tuning into what is my body telling me, and what am I not hearing, and what am I not seeing here. And it's just been more and more of like taking layers off and taking masks off. And after I did my ketamine treatment, that really helped me get stable and secure. And I was able to find more functionality in my day-to-day living. And then as the years went by, I was still realizing I'm still just like not at the root of like the soul of Emma. And I'm not being authentic. Like I'm happy. I'm not wanting to like escape life anymore, but I'm not joyful. I'm not even like expressing who I am. I'm hiding still. Why am I hiding? So last year I did this deep work of unearthing myself and really embodying who Emma is. And so I did a bunch of hypnotherapy work by myself and with other women, and doing breath work sessions, and really slowing down my living. I mean, to a turtle pace, like the slowest pace I possibly could. Like I am mirroring the animal world, and the animal world moves pretty slow. If you watch the animal world, it moves fairly slow. And our human world, we move so, so fast. And so the way I really got to my autism diagnosis was last year was slowing down enough to really see my patterns and to really see who is Emma. I was like a student of myself and watching everything I did. What was I doing during the day? How was I feeling during the day? What was I experiencing? What sensations did I feel? What kind of thoughts were I having? And it was when I was doing all this work after a whole year, I had realized, oh, I have these really big patterns of I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm doing great, I'm feeling really into my flow and intuitive and my feminine. And then, oh my gosh, meltdown out of nowhere, literally like banging myself in the head, screaming, I mean, full-blown autistic meltdown. At the time though, I had no idea it was an autistic meltdown. I just thought I was having like a rage moment. And I was like, what is going on? Because it happened over and over and over again, especially because when I was doing this work last year, sometimes I would push myself too much and burn out, like do way too much breath work or go way too much into this mind kind of work and not check in with my body. And so that was really an embodiment piece of tuning into the balance of that. And yeah, that's kind of how I found that autism diagnosis, was realizing there's this pattern of rage. And I eventually looked into it because I reached a head one day. I'll be really honest and transparent with you here. So my kids had not slept in like 2 days very well. And one of my triggers I now know is not going without sleep. I know sleep's important for everyone, but especially for neurodivergent folks, it's like even more crucial for our neurotype. And so I hadn't gone with sleep, and my daughter was screaming in the background, and I had a very, very big day, and I was feeling so stressed. And before I knew it, I was in a meltdown mode, and I was screaming at my husband. And after I came down from it, like, hours later, when I finally calmed down and regulated, I was like, whoa, Emma, like that is what's going on with you, honey? Like, this is not really in alignment with who you are, but something's happening here. And like, this is not just trauma, because you have done months of trauma work, and this is still continues to come up. And this is technically just about sensory stuff, about sleep and sounds and the anxiety of the day. And so I started doing even more research, and that's when I looked into neurodivergency and found autism. And I found this whole other, like a bunch of articles about women specifically with autism and how it's very misunderstood between men and women. And that's why it's misdiagnosed for so long. And that over 42% of women that are diagnosed with borderline, bipolar, a whole range of mental illnesses are actually autistic. And they're misdiagnosed for a very long time, if ever they get that diagnosis. And so, yeah, it's been so freeing to step into this diagnosis and know, oh, that's what's going on with me. I'm not this rageful monster. I'm having a meltdown. This is a sensory meltdown. I need to get into my body. And like, I truly think, not just for neurodivergent individuals, but for everyone, the greatest work we can do here on Earth is to get out of our heads and into our bodies. Like, I really think that's the greatest work we can do.
Emma, I am so drawn to the experience you shared, and particularly just the description of what it takes to do the work that you've done. And the term unearthing that stuck out to me so much, because it's not just like, I sprout like a daisy, I feel better. I mean, it's soiling, it's hard, it's grit, it's dirty, it's messy, it's confusing, it's gonna get rained on, it's gonna get stepped on, like, and just describing the process as an earthing really stuck out to me because of the depth of work that goes into that. And I mean, you shared more that of course illustrated that, but that really stuck out to me.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not just like an overnight process. I think sometimes when we think about blooming, it's just like, oh, we're a flower, we bloom. And it's not. Like what you're saying, like first you have to have a seed, and that seed first has to break out of the hull of that seed cap. So that's so much work. And then it has to break through the soil and break up through the soil. And like, it takes so much murky, mucky mud before you can even see the sunlight. And now I'm feeling like, oh, the sun is there and I'm finally blooming. But it took months of being in darkness and saying like, what? I don't know what's going on, but I trust that this is the process. Like, I trust the body. The body never, ever, ever lies. It doesn't. but your mind does. Our minds are programmed, conditioned from a young age, what humans are, but our bodies will intuitively tell you what's going on if you really trust it and you really slow down enough to listen to what it's telling you.
I think that's so astute that the mind can play tricks on you. I think most of the time when people think that they're embodied, they're actually living in their mind and the mind's perception of what the body is doing, which is very, very interesting, right? Because when we're living in our mind, we have judgment on everything. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. But when we're in our body, we just are feeling things out. There's no good, there's no bad, it just is what it is. And I think that's so cool about what you shared. The ability for you to stop and be patient with yourself and be kind completely changed your experience. Yeah. Because knowing myself, and when I've been sick, I've been like, why are you so stupid, Gabby? Like, why are you crazy? And why are you nuts? And why'd you do this wild thing? And it's like, if we just get curious instead of judgmental about these things, we can make so much more change with what's going on.
Yes, getting curious and having that loving approach, especially because what's really going on is like an inner child too. Like there is an inner child piece to all of this. And it's like, can you find that safety in your body to say, it is all okay? What's really going on here? Like, really just observing who you are as a human, just from an observational and not a judgmental standpoint, can start to change so much and shift so much, because I think we're taught from a young age to judge everything and to especially judge ourselves and to use so much of our brain power and our mind to get through the world. And I don't think that's served us. I really don't. I think it's been a dishonor to use our minds in that way. And I think we need to use our bodies as our intuitive guide. And that will help us get to places and help us figure out our eating disorders and help us figure out our mental illnesses and our challenges in our day-to-day. Our bodies intuitively will know where to go and next steps to take, just like an animal does.
It's so interesting that I was just thinking about, as you were talking, that we have all of these phrases out there that's like, trust your gut, right? Trust your gut. But we don't give anybody the tools to be in tune with themselves enough to trust their gut. And so I think there's a big rhetoric right now that's going on about, is this my gut intuition or is this just anxiety? And having to parse out the differences between those two things. I'm curious how it felt for you to receive this autism diagnosis so much later on in life, because you've been navigating the world with one blueprint and now you have this whole other layer on top of it. And I'm sure a lot of things clicked or made sense, but I'm sure there was also possibly some grief or anger in that of not having it sooner.
Yes. It has been a multi-layered integration process for sure. At first, it was like a giant relief of like, oh my gosh, I'm not broken and like I don't have to fix this. My entire life, especially from like late teens until late 20s, I was so focused on fixing myself. I was like, I am broken. Like, look at how you live your life. Look at your relationships. Look at how you hurt people. Like, you are broken. You do need to be fixed, girlfriend. You are flawed. And especially because I knew I was different. But everyone around me was saying, you're not different. You just have some mental health challenges, girly. Like, go to some more therapy. You'll be fine. I was like, no, I feel very, very different. And I have these very big feelings and it's very sensational for me. It's not thought. It's really not. Eventually the stories and the thoughts will come and they get so mean because I think I trained and brainwashed myself to do that at a younger age and from outside influence. But what's really going on for me at a real level is sensation. It's so sensory for me. It's very sensory. And so when I got that diagnosis, I was like, oh, this makes sense why it's not, it felt so in my body. Because I'd be telling my therapist, I was like, it's just like here. It's right here in my body. It's not even thoughts. Eventually it turns into stories and then it gets mean. But it starts in the body first. And I think that is probably I don't think that's just for me. I think that's probably for everyone. But yeah, it was very freeing to get that diagnosis, but also brought grief as I processed it. When I got this diagnosis, I also got another diagnosis of I have a neurodevelopmental delay in my limbic system, which is associated with processing and regulating your emotions. And so this was very helpful information for me because I don't process things in the moment. And so possibly something that's upsetting for one person in the moment and they're crying, I might not cry or feel that intensity of that emotion that they're going through. I might have empathy, but I don't feel it for myself because I'm not processing it in the moment. So it might take me weeks to process it, and then I'm crying and I'm a mess and I'm like, what's going on? Why am I feeling this? And it's like, oh, that's why, because it does take me time to process. So it's opened doorways, and it's also brought a lot of grief at the same time, because I'm like, wow, how different could my life have been if I would have received this diagnosis as a child and known as a child, I am different and I'm allowed to be different. In fact, you're supposed to be different. That's your greatest gift, is being different, because for so long I thought that was my greatest flaw, was being different, and I tried to hide it from everyone. And now I'm like, no, this is who I am. I want to be different. I want to be unique. I love being weird. And it's been such a radical revolutionary process of embodiment to take these masks off and like throw them off. And so that was like so exciting for me to be able to get that diagnosis for myself, because that was what I was doing last year with my work with hypnotherapy and breath work and all this embodiment work, was just to come home to self. And when I came home to self, my body told me everything that the experts never could tell me. And that ultimately led me to my health and my wellness, because for so long people said, no, we are the experts. We know best about you. Here's your symptoms. We know, honey. But until I was in my body enough to realize, what is my body telling me? And looking at research and reading books and really looking for the answers myself in a critical way, and then like finding it and knowing that is what's going on for me. And I don't have to fix it. I can just know that's Emma. That's Emma. And now I know my work is just getting more and more and more in tune with my body, more connected to my body, more regulated. And that's everyone's work.
We can end, not really, but like, it's just profound. It is. And just the recognition of, I think so often I do this, I like to look out for reassurance. It's like a historical pattern of mine that's not the most helpful, but it's like my instinct. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go find out from so-and-so. But like, I can be my own anchor. That was huge in my journey to realize, like, I can keep myself safe too. Like, I am here. I'm not just enabled by other people to function and move, right? There's a lot of my treatment dependence that throughout the podcast I've mentioned some, but like, I can be in and of my own self. So, I mean, just, yes. Thank you, Emma.
We ultimately are our own healers. And if we slow down enough, like, I think we all think there's these special formulas and like we need to go to these special people to get these special answers to get healing and better. And it's like, no, our bodies are so wise. It's so intuitive. All you have to do is slow down. And if you slow down enough and listen, you ask your body, what are you telling me? It'll tell you exactly what you need to do, but it might not be what you want to hear. And that's the hard work. That's the work. That's the work, honey. That's when my body said, slow down, Emma. I don't want to slow down. Slow down. I don't want to slow down. Okay. It took months. It took months of me asking my body, what do you want? Slow down. That's all I heard for literally like 11 months. And it drove me nuts. I was like, are you going to tell me anything different? Because like, is this just like my brain telling me this and I'm just like being lazy? Is this just like a lazy approach? I'm like, don't do any Emma thing, Emma. Just go lay in the yard. Because I would literally just lay in my backyard for hours. I don't know what the next steps are. My brain has led me astray so many times. I will trust the body. The body wants me to slow down. The body wants me to lay on this soil. And so I will honor my body. I will give my body that, because I have never done that. And I've done everything else in the book. So I will try this all the way in. And it worked. It worked amazingly. You just have to slow down enough and trust your body. Our body is so, so, so wise. But we're not always wise enough to listen to it.
I think what's so interesting is that you reached your autism diagnosis at 32, right? And all of the work that you had done prior was like mental health and trauma work, which is eventually talks about getting back into your body, but it's so much of working out your mind stuff first. And so it's so interesting that you you're like, I've done all of this work. Why is there still something coming up for me? What does my body still have to teach me and show me? I think it's interesting because your approach and the way that you're living your life right now is so counterculture to how our world operates. Yeah. Our world operates by getting stuff done. I mean, you made the connection between the human world and the animal world. I think a lot of times when we get into issues of substance use or mental health conditions like anxiety and depression and things of that nature, I think what's funky is that they operate on you not being in your body. You are meant, we have all of these expectations, right?
Mhm.
So, for example, I have to go to school, I have to go to work, I have to take care of my kids, I have to write a book, I have to learn a new sport, like I have to do X, Y, and Z. And we don't have time to slow down. We don't have time to take a break. I have 2 weeks of vacation a year. Like I work 40 hours a week. Our society is not conducive to me slowing down. And so I'm curious, one, how you got onto this path of being able to slow down and take time for yourself. And two, do you feel like it is a privilege to be able to do so?
Yes, what a great questions. Yeah, so I will start with, I guess, the first question of like how I did that. I decided that it was my greatest job, that it was my greatest work, because I realized my day-to-day life was not manageable or functional in the way that I wanted to be. And it was causing a lot of issues in my day-to-day life because my heart and my soul wanted to show up in one way, but then I was showing up in very erratic, meltdown, sensory, a lot of that. And I was like, this is not working. And so I really had to take a hard look at the mirror. Like, I am creating my reality. At all times, I'm creating my reality. So if I want something to change here, nothing outside me is going to change. It's really not. I'm going to change. I have to change. And if I really want to change, I have to take that seriously, and I have to go all in, and I have to be actually very, very, very selfish. Like, the most selfish. I think our society and culture has taught you, don't be selfish, don't be selfish. Like, always give to the other person, think of the other person, give, give, give. And yeah, that's a beautiful thing. But when you're pouring from an empty cup or an overwhelmed cup, that's not even genuine giving. It's just like showing up to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, crossing stuff off the list. I'm being nice because I'm supposed to be nice, not because I genuinely want to help you. Yeah.
Totally. Yes. And so that's what I was really realizing I was doing as a mother and as a wife. And I wasn't even embodying my true essence in my day to day. And I was like, to do that, I am going to have to do something radical. And so I invested in a mastermind to do elemental life coaching because I really wanted to do something to get my body. And this program was all about getting into your body and finding your own medicine. And I was like, okay, I want to invest in this. And so part of that was in that investment and doing that work with other women, 100 other women. And a lot of that was about listening to your body. Our coach was saying, you have to listen to your body. What your body says, listen to your body. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And my body just kept saying, slow down. I was like, all right, I'll do it. And it took so much dedication and devotion because I am a stay-at-home mom and I homeschool my children. And there's a lot of different ways you can homeschool your children. And the ways my family have decided to do it is an unschooling approach, which means we kind of view life as learning and that we don't have to sit down and do worksheets or read books and do all this very mental mind work to learn and live a very successful life and happy life and joyful life, filled life. And so I really had to look at everything around me and long-term generational legacy and my children's well-being and my well-being. And if I cannot regulate in my day-to-day, in my hour-to-hour, then I am giving my children nothing. I am not teaching them anything. If I am dysregulated and I'm sitting down to teach them a history lesson and I'm not even saying anything, but they feel my energy of the dysregulation, they will also be dysregulated and they will also not learn that information. And it's for moot. It's for what point? Because someone told me I need to homeschool, because someone told me I need to do this. Like, no, what's really important is, I think, is being regulated in our bodies and being in tune with our bodies. And so I said, okay, I'm taking that radical revolutionary approach and I am dropping everything. And I am putting me on the pedestal. I am putting mama first. And that will make everything else flow perfectly. But I have to get me first. The foundation has to be right. So if I want my family to be regulated and happy and content and have a long, healthy life, we need to be regulated. So that starts with me. And that starts with me putting myself first. And I feel like so much of my life, I said, we have to, like, I've put so much pressure on myself to succeed and go, 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 go. But really, why? Why do we have to do that as human? Do the cows do that? Do the birds? Like, no one else reflects this in our world but humans. And it's a human construct we have made up. We do not have to rush. We do not have to hustle and grind. We do not have to do it all. we get to choose what we pick and put down. And some people can see that as, oh, you're so privileged, you just have more money. No, I don't have more money. I have my priorities. I turn my mundane into magic instead of being stuck in the matrix of saying go, 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 and succeed, 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 because it was getting me nowhere on a soul level or on a body level. It was getting me nowhere, just in more and more trauma, more and more drama, and more spiral pattern loops. It was getting me nowhere. And the minute I pattern interrupted and said, no, I'm getting in my body comes first, I will honor the body over everything changed for me. And I have now created, like, I've been able to create multiple businesses. I'm a business owner. I have 2 businesses, and I'm unschooling my children. Like, we have multiple things going, and slowing down has allowed me to speed up more in my life than ever before.
Yes, slowing down has allowed me to speed up.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I addressed the privilege piece of that, because I think that's where so many people get stuck, is they think this is a privilege that you're affording yourself because you don't have to work or you don't have to do this, that, and the other. It's truly just, I have to do all of those things, and this comes first.
Yes.
I will always come first, because work doesn't matter if I am screaming and hitting myself in the head. My kids' safety is at risk if I am not in my body right now. There's a lot of stuff that this goes into. So I really appreciate you sharing so truthfully and honestly, because it is so impactful.
Yes, absolutely. Completely.
So you've mentioned some parenting style. How has recovery coaching been influenced by your parenting style, or vice versa, your parenting style been influenced by your experience with recovery coaching?
Well, something that I use a lot with my kids is pointing them back to themselves. So something my son will ask me a lot, especially because he's getting older. He's about to turn 11 this year. So he's kind of in that preteen stage of I want to be cool and do what everyone else is doing kind of thing. So he'll come to me before going to an event or something and be like, hey mom, what should I wear today? Should I wear shorts or should I wear pants? What would you do, mom? And instead of me telling him what I would do, because I might do something different than he would, I say, what does your body want? And he doesn't usually like that I say that. He's like, mom, come on, just tell me what you would do. I'm going to have the right answer for him. And I always turn it right back to him. And I say, no, honey, your body is your best guide. And so what does your body say? Ask your body, just close your eyes for a minute and say, body, do you want to wear shorts or pants today? And he'll do that, and he'll oh, I want pants. Or if he's still confused about it, sometimes I will help him, because sometimes he's not so sure after that question. He's like, I don't know, mom. So I'm like, okay, I'll ask clarifying questions. Well, let's look at the weather. Is it sunny outside today? Is it going to be cold? What can we expect in the day ahead? Let's maybe prepare. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's going to be sunny all day. I'm going to wear shorts because it's probably going to get hot later. And then he ultimately gets the answer to himself. I'm just guiding him to his own intuition. And so I do the same exact in recovery coaching with my clients of, what is your body telling you? And so they'll be like, oh, I'm feeling anxious. Okay, what is that anxiety really telling you? Where is that anxiety in your body? What's been going on? And they still can't reach that, figure it out. Okay, what happened yesterday? What happened the previous couple days? And really always pointing the mirror back at themselves, because ultimately that's all I am as a recovery coach, is a mirror to the other person of saying, look at yourself, look at yourself, look at yourself, because I don't have any wisdom or knowledge that they truly do not have themselves.
It shouldn't be some kind of crazy magnificent concept, but it is, because we miss that so often, and knowing that you can ask yourself the questions that you want to ask others is one of the best skills that you'll ever get to have. I'm glad you pointed that out in the crossover, how it shows up with both, because that's such impactful for autonomy and confidence and self-assuredness. And I mean, it goes everywhere. It's a very central concept.
Totally. I feel like it's a good benchmark to constantly learn to check in with yourself, because I feel like that's your ultimate roadmap to life. Your body will intuitively know if you should hang out with that friend or not. And to really start honoring the body. So for example, if you had made a commitment to hang out with a friend a week prior and go get dinner, but then a week passes and it's the night you're supposed to go, it's a couple hours before, but your body's like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. Please don't make me do it. And then you're like, no, body, I'm going to do it. I said I was going to. We commit. We do things we commit to. And that matters. And it's no. We do honor the body, because the body comes first. The body is self. And I think that's the best self-love you can give. And it's also the best love you can give someone else, because if you're showing up to something and you really don't want to be there, their energy is going to feel that. You don't have to say a single thing of your mouth, but their energy is going to feel that on some level you don't want to be there. And so you're really not honoring yourself, and you're not honoring them. And to slow down enough to check in with your body honors everyone around you. Truly. And it will guide you from the most micro questions to the biggest questions in your life. And it will guide you exactly where you need to go without ever having to get in your mind.
Yeah.
It's incredible too that, like, I feel like something that you're talking about with say bypassing some of your body's internal cues and systems, I feel like that's when the red alert buttons come out, is when we ignore and we ignore. Like, I know I have a chronic habit of whenever I'm starting to feel under the weather, I'll be like, no, I just have to push through and get a couple of these chores done. I need to go to the store. I need to vacuum the house. And my partner always be like, please, just sit down. Just like rest. Just rest, please. And I'm like, no. If I just get all of this stuff done, then I can rest. And he's like, but by that point, you are at your limit. We could have quelled this a little bit before you were at your limit, but instead we pushed and pushed and pushed because we weren't listening. We were bypassing. We were having an energy drink instead of taking a nap. And I think those are really big experiences. I know we're coming up a little bit on time, but I have one final question for you, Emma, that I don't know if you'd mind if I pick your noggin about. So if you were to talk to family members, friends, loved ones of somebody who has a dual diagnosis of autism and an eating disorder, what would be your best advice on how to support their loved ones with that dual diagnosis?
Beautiful. Yes, I love this question. I think what would be so beautiful that someone could do is continually check in with them, the other person, about like their body and like how it feels in their body, because having dual diagnosis, especially like if you have autism and another diagnosis like an eating disorder per se, you might not be really in tune with your body, and so it might be something you're like refining and working on yourself. And so if your support members around you are also helping you, remind you like, oh, we do check in with our body, we do talk about this stuff, and they also give us that information about themselves back, so we're asking each other, what's your body telling you today? How's your body feeling? And not this feeling of, I think we ask this question a lot to people of, how are you feeling? And it's an emotional question, but can we bring it to a body level? How is your body feeling? Can we bring it deeper than type?
Yeah.
Like what exactly is your body feeling? And bring it to when we're eating. What does your body feel like eating today? Like what makes you feel excited? What would bring you joy? What sounds awful? And like something else you could also help with is maybe helping them find different foods that do excite their bodies or bring more sensations to their body, and really helping them get connected to the food around them in a new, novel way than just we put food in our mouths to consume and just fuel ourselves, but like really a sensuality of the food, an embodiment of what eating actually is for a human, and that it's a pleasure, and to really learn that can be learned and taught and modeled with other people, with your support people, because you can't really learn that always by yourself. I find it personally hard to eat big meals by myself. I don't really have any interest, but if I have my husband there, absolutely, I will probably try a couple bites of this big meal, or if not, eat all of this big meal, because you have that connection, you have that companionship, which is so key to being a human. We have to have that connection.
Mic drop, boom, done, taking care of business. Well, Emma, it has been such a pleasure to have you today.
I have so many thoughts. I could probably talk solo to myself about them for the next 2.5 hours. It really, I've gotten really impassioned, really excited about different concepts that you've shared, and Emma, it's been great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gabby and Abby, for having me. It's been such a pleasure to be here and to share this with you guys and share my experiences in life and just to be in your energy. You guys have awesome energy and vibes, and I love this podcast and excited to see where it goes from here.
Well, thank you so much, Emma. We are so happy to have your support. Abby and I will be doing interviews like this every couple of weeks. So if you're ever interested, if you have a different intersecting identity that might be helpful to be shared on the podcast, definitely reach out to us. You can connect with us on Instagram, on YouTube, on Spotify, or you can email us at firesidesnack@gmail.com. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll talk to you later. Fireside Snack is hosted by Abby Dinges and Gabby Buckner. Editing, music, and artwork by Gabby Buckner. Please email us at firesidesnack@gmail.com with your recovery questions and be on the lookout for weekly episodes. Thank you for joining us for Fireside Snack and for filling our cups up with gratitude. Enjoy your week.